Okay, guys, we'll get started. So we seen yesterday, right? Work items and then creating teams and setting grades for the sprints and assigning teams to the respective sprints. And also we seen some capacity, but we seen some glitch actually, where I was not able to see the user that I added, right? Actually, that was not a problem. The internet was slow. Basically, the moment you type something, it has to give that updated user, right? The moment you type Purna, it has to give all the items that are with Purna user. It was not giving actually. I had to literally go and click on the search. So that was the problem. So that's what I was wondering why it is not. I added the user, why it was not populating in the drop down. So I had to literally click on that. Once we left that, I was going and checking why it is not populating. I had to click on the search button. So probably internet was slow, or I don't know. Or the because we are using the free platform, right? We don't expect a high performance there actually. So I was just typing and waiting for automatic population of my user ID. So that was a problem. We will see it there actually. So today we will see the capacity because yesterday we were not able to make that proper and then see in we only see green item, right? We also need to see how it becomes red. Means however project timelines gets extended. That means you will not be able to deliver it. In such cases, in a manual way, you basically move the requirements to the other sprint, or you take out the requirements from the current sprint, or you add another developer to the sprint. That's how you manage it actually. You will see those things here itself. Okay, let's go and so as usual, I just go to my portal.azure.com. Probably from Monday, I'll straight away go to dev.azure.com to go to the DevOps, Azure DevOps. So I spent almost 10 minutes here. Why it was not populating? Go to Azure DevOps and click on My Azure DevOps organization. And then I have multiple organizations. I will select my organization, the current organization, what I'm going to work on. That is Azure DevOps 8 a.m. session. So we've been working on 8 a.m. demo, right? Let's go ahead there basically. And boards, these are the work items available. Okay. So still some of them are not assigned, right? I can straight away assign from here as well. Okay. Or you can go to the boards and you can assign from there as well. Wherever it is, end of the day you can assign actually. Let's see the options. So you go to the boards, and this is a feature board actually. This is how it looks like, new, in progress, and done. And then if you want to see the backlog view, then just click on backlog items. Then it will give the product backlog items only. Earlier it was futures. And then we have another option here, this track symbol. Okay, you have these filters. You can just just for play with that actually. And then this is a backlog, and these are the teams. If you have different teams, you can switch between teams, and the items related to that team only will be made displayed here actually. Okay. And then sprints, I'm just quickly revising. Okay, not spending much time. So in the sprints, this is where you are defining the capacity and everything, right? Okay. Right now in this sprint, I have only these two product backlog items. You see this symbol, that's how I recognize actually. I don't read it. You just need to go by the symbol. So you have two backlog items in the sprint one now. Okay. And you see the planning here. You have two product backlog items, and also it has two tasks as well. Now what I do, I will go ahead and add one more requirement, a product backlog item to this sprint, and then we'll go and do the capacity planning actually. So how I can do, I can go back to my work items. Okay. This is the easiest way. And you select any unassigned item actually. I'll select second test, backlog item for dev team. I can select it. And then first ensure that if you want to move this product backlog item to sprint, you have to select the sprint from the iteration. Okay, you can go ahead and if you want to assign it to sprint 2, you can select sprint 2. Since I'm working for a sprint 1, I just select sprint 1. And then area, if it is related to dev team, keep it dev team, otherwise it's up to you. I'll simply say dev team. And then this is already approved by my product owner, so that now I can go ahead and assign to someone. This is not a hard stop, you can still assign, but you need to follow the process actually. So now click on assign. Now I am content seeing both I added one more user as well. Basically, when I say PU or NA, right, actually I have one more user with the same phone. It is not displaying. Basically, it is displaying it quickly if it is available in the cache actually. So I am just go and click on search. Now you see I can see my third user as well. So there is I have to explicitly click on the search option. Okay. So we spent a lot amount of time why it was not displaying. So that's it. I added one more item, product backlog item to my screen. Okay. If you want to add a task as well, let us say go ahead and add a new item. This is a child, right? Leave it like this. And this, I would say, login functionality task. And then simply click OK. So since I assigned this one to Purna Chandra, and I am directly creating the task from that product backlog item, that's why it is automatically populated. If you are creating a directly task item from the work items, since there is no link, it will not. You have to assign it. So all the things that I configured for product backlog item are already pre-populated, and then you can give some remaining work. Let us say some 8 hours, and then what is the activity type? I would say design, or I would say development. Okay, and then simply say save and close. Save this. Now go back to your backlogs. This is in features view. Let's go to backlog view. You select the backlog items. Now I see the third one.
Can we add not only more than one person?
You can add for one task. No, here you can add only one person.
So we need to create individual task to individual person.
Exactly. So that's how you segregate, right? Let us say if I assign, let us say the platform gives you ability to add two users to the task, but how do you track it? You cannot simply track it, right? You have to go by your gut feeling, or you have to go by your what is a personal relationship, right? How do I say how much percentage is done by you or how much percentage is done by you? You cannot simply calculate.
If he won't work, we can change to the some other person.
Yeah, here you can change it to other person, but at the same time you cannot have two people for the same task because you cannot measure it actually. Because working is personal, right? You go and work on it, but how you record it, you come and upload, populate this one. Here you will not have option that I work for 2 hours, you work for 3 hours on the same task. So the tracking will become difficult, not difficult, it will become almost impossible. That's why this is one-to-one actually. If you want to change it, you can, once you're done, right, you let us say it is 8 hours work, you done. And if you want to assign it to some person, you can assign it. That is possible. But at the same time, you cannot have multiple people. Okay, that's not suggestible as well, right? So now I have three product backlog items and three tasks in my sprint, and you see the planned effort is also available here. Right now this is 32 hours in this sprint because uh, did I give any effort here? Let's give the effort for this backlog item I just added as well. So I'll give another 16 hours here. Okay, let's close it. Now you see the total planned effort for this sprint is 48 hours. Okay. And now let's go ahead and you can switch back to your backlog views if you want to see the backlogs here. Okay. Now let's go to sprints. So I have a total 48 hours here for sprint one, 3 product backlog items available, 3 tasks available. Let's go to capacity. This is where we are making, how many hours a person will work on some activity or the leaves, etc. Right? Let's do the capacity here. Before we look at this capacity, before we make these changes, just have a look here actually. The work details. How you come to these work details? You have this track symbol. You can simply say work details are off actually. If you say off, it will go off. And then if you want to display work details, now, if you see everything is blank, the first section is works. Let me collapse all these things. It will be easy. The first section contains work. Just expand it. The total work for the team is 44 hours. Okay. And then work by activity means when I'm creating my product backlog items, I selected the activity drop down, right? Some of them are design, some of them are development, some of them are into some other activity. So right now in this sprint, I have activities related to design, that is 36 hours, and I have activities related to development, that is 8 hours. Okay, this is categorization by activity, whole work, and categorization by a person as well. Okay, right now 28 hours of work is being assigned to Purnachandra, and 16 hours of work is being assigned to Sureka. Okay, it's all good actually. Now the assignment is done. This is where your planning comes into picture. Your leaves come into picture. Your priorities may change. Okay, let us say the person who is assigning this work may not know that you are working on multiple activities or you are skilled at some areas. That's where you need to mention in the tool actually. So right now you don't see any green blue because we haven't done any capacity planning. Now let's do capacity planning. Click on this tab. Now we have this. Let me delete this user because I have not added anything to this. I have not assigned anything to this first user. Okay, I can go and click on this more button, remove this user. You can simply save it first. Okay, now what I'm going to say, I'm having design and development activities, right? I'll possibly keep the activities related to that. Of course I can keep it anything else as well. So what I'm saying, Purnachandra, he will work on design activity 4 hours per day. See, the moment I am pressing something, it is showing uh, green, yellow, etc. We will talk about it actually. So let's delete 4 hours. Let's keep it 1 hour. Still, it is giving something. Okay, let it be like that. Okay, or you can change it. Development, I will say uh, 2 hours per day. And now some of them are green, some of them are red. We will look into that. And then I also ask Purnachandra to another activity every day. That is, let us say, a documentation. Then this is 6 hours per day. Okay. Now I ask Sureka, I would say, to do development uh, 4 hours per day, and I want her to add one more activity. I still have another 4 hours right per day as per this one. I would say documentation, or I will say design, another 4 hours. So this is the capacity planning I am doing actually. So let's click on save. So I will start from the person. So right now, 48 hours of capacity is available for this user. It is based on the spring dates and etc. And then out of that 28 hours, you can check this actually. You can calculate. And then 16 hours of 48 hours is being allocated. So since it is not exceeded, So if I go and increase the effort of the product backlog items, right? So let us say I have assigned one product backlog item to her. That was 16 hours. If I make it, let us say 50 hours, then it will become that. The reason, the actual capacity available for the developer is less than the effort that is required for the product backlog item development actually. So this is all real time. You don't need to calculate using Excel or something, right? You just keep updating here and then. Instead of updating, I will just go ahead and update his vacation actually. You can see how it changes. For Purnachandra right now it is showing green, right? So let's go ahead and apply some leave plan for him. So I would say this sprint is starting somewhere 23rd, right? I remember. So I'll keep it 23rd and then I'll make him off till 1st Jan. You see, the Purnachandra now it became red actually because he his available capacity is less than the product backlog effort that is assigned to him. So we have assigned one product backlog item to him, right? That is 16 hours of work. Okay. And you see that design activity also went into red actually. So how many hours are required for design activity? 36 hours. Say 269 days we added, but we still have, if I calculate, this guy is off for 8 days and only 2 days available. In the 2 days, he will not do any design activities. So forget about him. And take this person, the second person. She has 10 days, that means 40 hours. Okay. Let's apply some leave plan for her as well. These are all the numbers. We just need to play and do the observations basically. So the whole intention is to see, how these capacity planning works basically, how it is automated. Now I made a, let's click on save actually. Now, so there is a design activity that is running into red, right? How I can make it green? Either I have to move this design activity to the next sprint, or add one more person to the sprint, or reduce the number of hours. This is all I can do to make it green, so that whatever is the requirement available in the sprint can be completed in the sprint as well. Okay, let's go ahead and let's go to, probably I will go and move this design activity related product backlog item to the next sprint. Okay, how I can do it is very simple. You can go to backlogs. So the design, see, I'm going to tell one more thing here. I mean, if you go to, now if I have to know, I was telling, right, if I want to know which activity related or which product backlog item is related to design, I have to open and see it, right? Now I have to open and see it. I will show you how easily to identify it. Actually, we'll make some styling stuff and then we see it. This is related to, so let's open this task action. This is where you see. This is a development related task. Let's close it. And then open this product backlog item. Open the task in the product backlog item. Okay. This is related to design actually. Okay, which is having 20 hours. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to move this task to sprint 2. Let's see how it changes. Let's go to capacity view. Now design became, it is only 16 of 16 hours because I moved that 20 hours work to the next sprint. So this is how, I mean, you can manage your team capacity to effectively schedule the work and complete your sprints on time. If you don't have this kind of tools in place, right, you have to do it manually. These are all maths, right? You have to go to Excel and do all the formula to find out how many hours are available for the users and how many hours are, how much effort is required for the requirements. This is a hell because it takes a lot of time. People don't do it. That's where you will end up exceeding your deadlines. Okay, it's not even project manager mistake as well. If it is 2 3 people, he can do it. But if it is 10 20 people, obviously that lenience will come, or he will not get time, and this schedule will get into extended position, right? The problem here, right, in reality, you don't have these tools, you have to calculate. But you have this visualization, right? This is what catchy for any management, right? The moment they see red, they will get panic. The moment they see green, they will be happy. So that's why, big companies encourage to use tools for planning or tracking or any kind of activity. So that's the capacity planning. So you can go ahead and play with this actually. So just because there are a number of permutations and combinations, you can change it. And you can go and add users. We were just talking about to make it green or to make your sprint successful. So now we see in task boards, and then backlogs, and then capacity. These are all the different menu options available. We were talking about, right, making it color coded. Right now, if you see the task board, right, everything is in a plane, and I really don't know which one is in which related to which state actually, whether it is design state or whether it is in improve, development activity. Or right now I see, in this box, right, I see only state of this one. If I want to add one more item, I can customize this view as well. Okay, but I can add only the available options. Okay, how you can customize? Right now, I can see the name of the person and short title, and then the state actually. If I want to add one more item to be seen here, you can simply customize this dashboard. So you have this. Uh, Not the backlogs. So you click on this configure item. Okay, right now it is showing only the field section, right? Once you click on setting the field section, I'm seeing only title and state. If I want to see one more, you can simply add one more field. You can say I want to see uh, activity as well. Okay, and then simply click on save and close. It is refreshing. You see, now the activity is also being displayed here. So likewise, of course, this is a board, right? You don't want to have a multiple options available there. You just keep it what is most important to you actually. Otherwise it will become very clumsy. Since it is only one activity I see here, it is okay. But if you are having 10, right, everything will be cluttered and you can't see it actually. But I'm just showing how you can customize it. There is one more way to customize this one. You can apply the styles actually. So this is the last one, we will see it, and then we'll go to other one. So how you can apply some styles to this task board actually. So we went to this settings, right, configure team settings. Just open it. So you have the styles option here. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to apply one style. I'm just going giving some name as a test style, and I'm going to apply some color code to my the boxes what I see in there actually. For catchy, I will keep this green color. Okay, and what is the criteria to apply that color actually? Okay, I simply go ahead and says by, you can type it, the activity. If the activity equal to design, then I'm saying apply green color to that. Simply save and close. You see, now the activity with design, it became a green color actually. So this is how you can customize. It actually reduces your time to. Otherwise, earlier I was opening each and every task and seeing which is related to design or which is related to development, etc. So likewise, you can go ahead and apply your styles actually to customize your task board actually. So we see in capacity, we see in customization and we seen what fields to be displayed in your views, and we also seen how to assign users or move task items between different sprints, and how to set the sprint dates, all that stuff we seen. Okay, this is good actually. So what else you can do in your regular day-to-day work, right? Your project manager will always have a one slide, right, where it shows the timeline view. Okay, sprint one starts from today to next week, sprint two starts from here to there, and in sprint one this team is so you will have one beautiful slide, right, the timeline view basically. So basically it looks like this. I mean, you can just Google it. So there will be n number of timelines, right? There is no one standard template. Everyone uses their own. So something will be like this. I'm just opening whichever is coming first. So you can see these kind of timelines, right? So you see dates or months or weeks here, and then you can see some milestones defined to identify which are the important dates, and also you can see tasks. For some people, they may keep teams or phases. There is no standard, so you will have a number of views actually. You can also create such kind of things on the fly. You don't need to do any coding or something again here. So for that, right? So basically, call it as a timeline view. Okay. Uh, so where we are basically we are in Azure boards, right? So right now I see only options. Okay. Let me go like this. I see the options: work items, boards, backlogs, spins, queries. So the one we are talking about is a delivery plan actually. Okay, so we need to have extensions for that. So since it is not available built in using Azure DevOps, you can go ahead and use some extensions, or you can say plugins available on Azure DevOps Marketplace. Okay, so for simplicity, I always go like this. Just click on, I mean, the view, right? You expand. I like this view. I mean, when I come here, right? So right now you only see 5 items here. I am just going to add one more item, delivery plan, using extensions. So this is your, like, rehearsal kind of stuff, because when you get into CI CD or Azure pipelines, right, you need to have third party extensions available to you. So the process is same, whether it is for boards or pipelines, the process is same. So now I'm going to use one third party plugin which gives me a delivery plan. Okay, so how you can do? So just let me minimize it. I'm not able to. So you go to this symbol on the top right corner, right? So click on browse marketplace. So you can search for it actually. So I'm looking for a delivery related stuff. You can simply say delivery and then search for it. So I'm just going to take the first one, delivery plans. This is mostly widely used, 31,000 downloads. So I'm just going, this is a free, you can take it. So since everything is automated, I am getting a get it free option. If it is not automated completely, then you will see a different button name actually. But this is a very fun app, you can think about it. Now, since I am having multiple organizations, it is asking me to which organization you want to deploy this one to. Basically, it is free, I can deploy to anything. But if it is a cost, I'll get it to the one who is paying for me, or who is, I mean, bearing that cost actually. So I
సో
take
నువ్వు
this
కూడా
organization.
అలా చేద్దాం ల్యాబ్స్ అలా అడిగచ్చు.
Yeah, I am installing this to Azure DevOps organization. So click on install. This is very straightforward. Yeah, you all set the, it's been installed now. let's now go back to my organization. Okay. Now click on my project where I've been using, and then you see the boards. Now we have the new item plans. Okay. So by default, it has taken the available projects in this one. The reason you see some error here, right? The first project 8 a.m. demo is using Scrum template. The other one is using some basic template actually. So that's the reason. I don't want this to be here actually. And you should be able to close this. So I just want to close because if you are planning for something, it has to be in the similar way actually. One project working on a waterfall model, one project is working on Scrum model. You cannot have a single template for everything. Different templates for different things actually. So I just want to remove this one and then say 8, save it actually. So it is simply showing some timeline view, right? It is showing from December, January. It is a monthly view. You can basically there is a you can actually expand or reduce. You can customize it a little more as well. So right now I am having a 8 a.m. demo team here, and I have sprint 1 and sprint 2 schedule. Okay, so it is showing sprint 1 and sprint 2. If you are having other sprints, it will show respectively, and then you can customize here as well. You have this plus symbol. If you want to show some important tasks or something as well, you can display it here, probably at high level. So it will give you, since the option here is backlog items, I'm able to see only to add a backlog item actually. Okay, not anything else. So this is an extension. I can customize what is available here. So I will simply say login. So it will show here. Okay, and then basically you see the milestones, right? So you can add milestones as well. So how you can do, you can go to your configure plan settings, and then you go to markers. So I'm going to create one milestone that is for Jan 16. Do we have the sprint till Jan 16th? Sprint 2 we have, right? Or we sprint 1 is till Jan 3rd, right? I will keep it Jan 1st actually. Okay, let's go ahead and create one marker. This is for Jan 1st. Okay, first delivery milestone. You can give some label, and I want to keep it in some color, like some color you can choose and then save. See, you see the milestone available here actually completed. So that's how you can display milestones on this one. Okay, and right now I have only one team here available. Okay, I can add the teams as well. Go ahead again, plan settings, click on teams, and then I have the other teams as well, right? Oh, this is a project teams actually. Sorry, if I have a multiple projects, then this is the default team that I get it actually. I will not be able to web dev or something. Okay, but I guess you can create some more customization. Okay, so there is one more stuff. You can choose what to be displayed in this pane actually. Uh, you want to display only design related activities or business related activities. You see, these activities we choose when we are creating the work items, like features or something, right? Those things can also be configured. You can play with this. This is uh, ready to use kind of stuff. You install your plugin from your free account and you can play with this, but this is not sophisticated, but still it gives you level of milestone view actually. So probably more and more plugins may come into marketplace in future, but this is one of the best one that is available as of now. Okay, so with that I would say Azure boards is completed because we done the product backlog item creation, and then we done the product backlog prioritization, and we done sprint planning, and we added teams and then developers, the different team members, and we assigned to them, and we created epic features, etc. And then we made a parent-child relationships, and then we entered efforts, and we also done the capacity planning. Okay, and then we added one extension here for seeing this delivery plans. We also seen how the schedule looks like, when it becomes green, when it becomes red means a danger sign. But how do you manage your efforts by moving the product backlog items or the requirements into different screens, or adding additional users and managing your vacation plan. So all those things, whatever you do as part of your project planning in your day-to-day life, can be done using Azure Boards here. So this is what about your planning stage. Okay.
I have a question here. This is not
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Now.
See, have you played with these bugs items in the dashboard?
Yeah, we haven't used the bug. The reason I thought of using it when we are talking about test plans, because when you create the test plan, let us say the test is failed, we want to create a bug. But if you want to create a bug, we can create. That's not a problem.
See, I have an issue with it. So
Yeah.
when I open a bug, I can see in the those tiles, okay, board tiles. But if when I close it, I'm unable to see it. I was playing last night, and I see that the issue with it. So can you please check it? What hell is going on? Because it's not showing up in the boards.
So the styles you meant to say? Okay, you want me
Yeah,
to
yeah.
go?
It's nothing but like you can view your task as a board, right? Board items or
Yeah, yeah.
tiles.
So this is the one you are saying, board.
Yeah, yeah. If I
Okay.
open a new item as a bug, I can see it. And when I have a done thing or closed one, if you have, then it is not showing up in that one.
Oh, I got it. What you are saying. Okay, this is the one you are saying. Okay, now what you want me to do?
Yeah, you just open the bug. Now it is showing up. You just say, yeah, you can close it
Okay.
or done it.
Yeah, I haven't
Like
made
some
anything.
comments. Yeah, you just say close. It's not approved. It is done or closed. That should
Yeah,
be closed, right? I have a close ticket.
it
Yeah,
has
now
been.
it is. Now you can close this. Like somebody worked and close it, right? Done or close.
Yeah, right now we have the removed actually. We don't have.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. My board is not showing up. I have a close item as well. I chose it.
Okay, okay. You have
It is not.
the
It is not showing up in me that one in the closed because that should be closed status, right? There is an item you can create, column as
so
closed.
you have the customized item like a done closed. You have.
Yeah, we can choose that item in the
Yeah,
existing column.
exactly. I got it. So right now we have only removed. You created a closed one. That's what you mean to say.
Yes.
Okay, until I see your screen, I will, because I cannot replicate it here, right? Probably if you can share your screenshot, okay.
That is
Uh,
another machine of the where I logged in right now, but I
or
can
you
show
can
it
email
later.
me, or you can email me, okay.
Okay.
Because without replicating, I can't explain it actually.
Because
Okay.
that's weird actually, because I have a closed column, and when I say close, or if I moved it over, if it is
Mhm.
not a new item and then the status changed to close, it is not showing up in the board. So I thought,
Probably it is like this. Let us say I created this bug, right? I'm just guessing without looking into your detail. So right now, the things what I have is
you have
approved.
only, you don't have a close here, but anyways,
Yeah, because you added that customized
yeah,
stuff, right?
yeah.
Okay. Now I made it closed actually. Okay. Now what happened? I have on the board, I have a new approved committed, only 4 boxes I have. Okay. The removed one is not available in my board columns basically. Okay. Let me go ahead and see if I can have this another column, board column. So, okay. So basically, it should be populating. So I don't have the removed, sorry, closed one with me, right? So you can have this like this. So now I should be having where it is added. The closed is added here actually. Okay, you can so
Rearrange them. Yeah, that's fine.
yeah, it should give. So we have to play with this, and you have your custom one, right? And you have this bugs it is showing. So this is the place where you can display these columns. Okay. That removed, this is basically backlog items that is showing actually not related to the bugs. Okay. The one what you see here, right? This is related to your backlog items or features, not related to the bugs actually. Okay.
But
Because
that should be an item, right? So it should be part of your board.
yeah, it should be part of board.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter what type
yeah,
of items you're viewing.
yeah, you are right. You are right. So we need to customize. You have that another one, right? Let me see it. You send me the screenshot. Okay, why it
Okay,
is
I will
not
do that.
showing?
Yeah,
We'll look at
that's fine.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can connect later. Okay, on that. Okay. So the other one we have here is a queries. This is nothing but uh, to see what is related to you or to see what is related to some person. So you can create some queries actually. Okay. Uh, if you're working for a multiple requirements, right? You can create a query. All items that are assigned to you. You want to see those status here. You can see it actually. You can create queries. We can see it later because this is not that important. So I would say work item type or a state equal to something uh, approved. I want to see all those things, and you can add some clauses here and assign to. I would say assign to and to me basically. At the rate, I don't. If it is me, I don't need to mention the person name. I can simply say and then save query. See, this is a query, and this is nothing but your select query what you use in our databases. Okay, to just see what is been assigned. You can define any query here, and you can see the results here. Basically, the leads are someone, right? They use these things to see what is this being assigned to someone, what is being assigned to him, what is happening. He can create queries, and he can see the results here, rather than navigating through each and every item. Okay, so these are the different options available in your project planning. So product backlogs, prioritization, sprint planning, capacity planning, delivery plans, and then your queries. That's about the Azure boards, guys, related to your first phase in the software development lifecycle phase. The next one is coding, basically. So the next one is coding. That means so your developers write code to implement these requirements. We call them as a product backlog items or tasks, right? So they develop the code. Now the code maintenance will come into picture. They write the code. Now you need to maintain the code, and after that you will get into the build and deployment activities, right? So let's go to repos. So okay, I'm not getting into the repos into details now. First, we will talk because we have a different audience in the session who never worked on the code management or who work partially or who already an expert. They want to know more things as well. So let's get into the repos, the concepts of repos. Repos is a short term. Basically, it is a repository. You call it as a repos as well. Azure repos. Just give me a second, guys. So, Azure repos. So you have the repos everywhere. Repos is nothing but repositories. Okay, code repositories. Okay. Right now we've been playing with Azure bots, right? You can say that as a requirements repository or the product backlog. It's a different terminology. Going back to the circle, it's just a container basically where you keep your stuff. So here you call it as a Azure repos. Okay. This is basically for your source control management. Okay, the other term people may use is version control management, source control management, repos, whatever you call it. This is your code management actually, how you manage your code. Okay, so some of the, so we'll see basically source control management or version control system. So Git, I mean, your Azure reports are different types of version control management systems. But before getting to Azure reports, you need to understand what are the different types of version control management systems available in the market. Okay, I would say broadly we have two types of version control management systems. Okay, uh, I would say I will give, we have programming languages, we have a scripting, right? Under programming languages category, we have a .NET, Java, etc. Under scripting languages, we have a Java, Python, JavaScript, jQuery, etc. We have thousands. These are the different categories for the same purpose, for developing web applications or whatever it is, right? In the same way, for source control management, we have a different types of source control management systems. One is a centralized version control system. You call it as a centralized source control management system. Guys, I might be using words interchangeably, but both are same. Okay, centralized version control system, and then you have a distributed version control system. Okay, from the last 5-6 years, right, distributed version control system became a de facto standard for all the organizations. We will see why it is actually. So what is a centralized version control system? So how it works actually? There is a little difference how it works. We will see. So basically, you have a developer doing the coding, right, using Visual Studio or whatever is IDE they are using. You have the developer, and what he does, as soon as he completes his code or his development, he simply need to keep that code somewhere else. Okay, it will be basically on the servers, right? Or if you do not have a server, if you are an individual person, you save it to your local folder system. But if you are working for a project, you need to keep it on a server. So that server is called a source control management server or version control management server. In a centralized version control system, what happens, as soon as the developer done his work, he will commit the code. Commit is nothing but saving his work actually on a server. This is very simple. You have one server where you install your source control system software, and you are keeping your code on that server. You will see what are the different things. This is very straightforward in centralized control system. That means one server and different people. How it works in distributed version control systems. So you have the same developer, and then he will also do the code commit directly to the server as well. But there is another way, because I will apply some policies when I'm using a distributed version control management system. I will apply some policies or restrictions to avoid the developer to directly commit the code to the centralized server. But we have both the options. This is how your centralized management system works, and we can do the same thing in distributed, but this path will not be used when you are using the real time. The other path is you will commit code first to your local disk. You might be confused, but I will make it clear once we are moving. First, you remember that when you are using distributed control system, when you are saving the code or committing the code, that means you are committing to your local disk first, means your local folder, and then you will push that code to the server. So this is a two stages. One, first you commit. These are all the different terminologies I will explain. You will save, is a saving is normal terminology, committing or pushing etc. is a version control management terminology. So first you will commit the code to your local disk, and then you can commit the code to the remote repository. You call it as remote means the server based. So this is a two-stage activity in your distributed version control system. So for the time being, you just remember those things. We will check later. So these are the different IDEs that you use. So if I am a .NET guy, I like Visual Studio, and if you are a scripting person like Java, JavaScript, Python, or Angular, etc., they use different tools. But Visual Studio Code is being released last year, and it became very easy for everybody actually. So now everybody is using Visual Studio Code, and for Java people, this Eclipse, and for Python people, there will be some IDs, PyCharm, but everybody is moving to Visual Studio Code, all these scripting. So these are the different IDEs you use to develop your code and to work with your source control management systems or version control management systems. So you need to know these two differences, centralized and distributed. So Azure repos. Now those are the basic fundas concepts, and now Azure repos supports both. It supports centralized and as well as a distributed. Centralized means you use a feature called a Team Foundation Version Control System (TFVC), and if you want to use a distributed version control system, you can use Git. I mean external Git, or you can use a Bitbucket. You can use there are many other actually. Sorry, I don't remember. I will show it later. Okay, and Git is also available as part of Azure Cloud as well. That we call it as a Azure repos. Okay. Basically, we will be going and using the Git as part that is available part of our Azure DevOps. Okay. So this is TFVC. So since TFVC is a centralized version control system, we just talked about its properties. Uh, so in TFVC, what happens? Let us say I have one file on my IDE or on my local disk. I cannot have versioning of my file on my local laptop. The versioning is available only on the server. When you are using distributed, let us say I have version 1, 2, 3. If I want to fetch version 2 or version 3, I have to go back to the server and fetch it back actually. So that's how you are, because you are working in a centralized mode. You keep only your latest. The older copies will be available on the server. Okay, versioning basically, history. And then Git. So you will have two-way commit, right? One first you commit to your local, and then you commit to the remote action. That means you also will have a versioning on your local PCs, be it a desktop or be it a laptop, whatever it is. So we seen this diagrammatic way there. So okay, so Monday we will look into the various commands that use as part of distributed version control system. And distributed version control system, we have n number of tools. I mean repositories available like Git, Bitbucket, etc. We are going to use Git actually. Okay, whatever is the stack, the commands are same. There is no difference. Okay, so we will be looking into the various commands like check in, check out, commit. Okay, these are all the different things. All these things, what we do, instead of explaining in theory and then going back to the lab side, from now onwards, it will always be uh, first 10 minutes of introduction to what we are going to do, and go ahead and explain it while we are using the IDEs or the tools actually. So that way you can remember. Okay, so from Monday onwards, it will be interesting. It will not be boring because it's not a planning session. So we will take .NET projects and we use all these commands to work with the version control management. Once this is done, then we will go to the pipelines. Okay. The reason I kept these commands like this, right? I can keep it in a tabular manner and I keep it as some description, but you are not going to read it actually, because nobody is having patience to open laptop and see it. All you know is some keyword. These are the keywords. if you have the keywords, you can Google on your mobile when you are free, and you can read it actually. That's the idea. Because that's the idea why I keep this randomly as a keywords. So guys, that's it for today. So this is the introduction to Azure Repos. We will be using Visual Studio 2019 and Azure Git, that is part of Azure Repos from Monday onwards. So from Monday onwards, everything will be a lab session. There is no theory. Yeah, please. How many classes? So this approximately take 4 or 5 classes. Depends on the number of questions I get actually. Huh? Next week, I guess we can complete it in next week. Okay. We spend more time on CI/CD because CI/CD contains a number of external things. Not only the things what we do in Azure DevOps, we also look into SonarQube integration. We also need to look into Selenium test case integration. Means these are automated test suites, right? So there are many number of automated test suites available, but the most famous one is Selenium. Every organization have the Selenium actually. So we integrate Selenium automation test cases with the pipelines, and we deploy application to web servers, and we also see some cloud features like app service, etc. Okay. We are going to use Octopus. We are not going to use Octopus. Octopus is a separate tool. So for deployment, build and deployment, both are part of Azure pipelines. The whole idea of using Azure DevOps is everything is under one umbrella. Okay, if you are using Octopus, that means you are using some environment where you are using Jenkins for CI/CD, Jira for requirements management, and Octopus for deployments or Ansible, whatever. So you have a different tools for doing automation of different phases of your software development lifecycle phases. To make it simpler, we are using Azure DevOps. In the similar way, you have the AWS DevOps as well. If you go to AWS DevOps, again, you will have the similar stuff, but with a different terminology. You have another one as well, that is also famous, GitLab. GitLab is another stack where you are having Azure repos, boards, etc. You have a different terminology there using Jira, but that is also another stack. So basically, you are learning the most famous or the most used. Jenkins is one, but people are migrating from Jenkins to Azure DevOps because of learning curve and availability, documentation, and pricing. All these aspects come into picture. So we will be using Azure DevOps for everything. You have all the features from requirements till the testing and maintenance. The external things what we're going to integrate, as I said, Selenium and the SonarQube. Once you do all these things, you are good actually. You can. That means you are doing end-to-end DevOps. Probably I would before we close this session, right? I will show you one architecture how end-to-end DevOps architecture looks like. Just give me a minute, guys. Let me pull up my. I generally show this end-to-end DevOps before I start. Somehow I missed it. So don't worry about color code schemes. So here first we have done the planning stage, right? So we used Azure boards, and then next one is the coding phase. We use the version controls, right? In regular, the top bars are in our phases, software development life cycle phases, and then the bottom one are the tools what you are going to use and different activities you do actually. In a continuous integration is nothing but your build phase. So where you do all these activities, packaging, code analysis, all that stuff. And then next phase is your artifact repository. You generate some DLL, CXs, how you manage, etc. And then the next one is deployments. You deploy to the different servers. What are the different things available? What you do generally, dev test environment, deployment, etc. Right? And then you have the test cases, regression test cases, or functional test cases being executed as part of your automation. And then finally, your monitoring activities, your log management activities, which basically being taken care by infrastructure teams. So this is end-to-end DevOps actually. If you are missing any of these sections, right, that means you are not doing end-to-end DevOps. So probably most of the people, when they say DevOps, right, they only talk about CI/CD. So that means you are not getting the best out of DevOps. When you do automation across all these areas, you are end-to-end DevOps. That means you probably heard of the word called one-click deployments, zero downtime. When everything is automated, right from the requirements management, it is one. I simply say, let us say, I go to my Azure course. I will say one feature has completed. I can trigger the deployment. The entire pipeline will be automated. Or I can create one release and I can simply do one click. Then everything is automated. Deployment to dev, deploy to QA, deploy to test, and your automation test suites executed. And if it fails, your build and deployments will be failed, notifications will be sent. That's the end-to-end DevOps architecture. This is what we're going to finish at the end of the sessions basically. The first one we finished planning phase. Now we are doing the version control system. So the top one is your manual, life cycle phases, the bottom one, the activities. That's all from my end, guys, for today. We will see again on Monday.
Can you share these PPTs that you have showed so far? I don't see that
Uh,
those being shared.
no, I'm not supposed to share these PPTs because of some terms and conditions. But anyways, you have these videos accessible. You can take a screenshot or you can take a, nobody can stop you from taking screenshots. You can take it and keep it with you. But unfortunately, I will not be able to share.
Okay.
So thank you guys. Have a good weekend. We'll talk again on Monday.